Now let's move to the next topic, the focus of complaint handling system. So it should be noted that complaints from internal customer needs to be also handled effectively. As I mentioned earlier, from an organization point of view, poor handling of complaints from internal and external customer can lead to. So now this is something which is, you can say, if you are not dealing with the complaints, if you are not effectively dealing with the complaints, what type of, you can say, implications you can have. So these type of things you can focus on while discussing that demotivation of those like your customers. So if you have not resolved a particular customer complaint, once it will he will complain once, he will complain twice, thrice, but after some particular time point of time they will stop complaining. They will not feel like to be associated with it, or you can say they will associate themselves from the, like, it could be external or it could be internal customer. Now here customer you can also treat as a stakeholder. So each and every stakeholder is very important. As a customer you have to treat them as a customer, you have to understand what is their needs, and accordingly you have to satisfy those particular needs. Poor performance in terms of either it could be your internal manufacturing system, okay, wherein if you are not resolving that particular quality standards related to complaints like your NCRs. So suppose the NCRs are coming from a particular same domain area. Okay, sometimes okay there is a new defect which has came up, that you can accept. But sometimes what is happening, you have given an NCR and again the same for the same problem you are getting the particular NCR are coming, like issue is remaining same. Now in that case what is happening, root cause is not properly either identified or root cause is not properly attacked. So you have to identify the root cause, attack the root cause, so that the problem will should not come in future. So because of this also your overall production line performance can be reduced, or you can say you can achieve a poor performance from the end product point of view. Generation of defective products and services, again. So by this what is actually happening is, if you are not resolving a particular problem, issue, or any other complaint related to some integration related like to with other part of your product. So if you are not doing that, at the end of the you can say value chain, the product will have some defects, and ultimately your services, you have to cover up in your services, and again your services will also face like, sometimes what happens, your defective products you will while when it went to the market or to the customer, you have to cover up with the poor services. Your services, like sometimes what happens, if I give you uh, an example, one product is being prepared, okay, if one product is delivered to the customer, and this particular product has start giving like a defect. Now when customer go takes back this product to the organization or to the firm or to the seller, he was aware about that this is a manufacturing defect. Now what is happening, he has a good service, he has a good service approach to that particular customer. But when he knows that this is a manufacturing defect, he start giving responses in a delayed way. So whenever a person start getting a delayed response, he will start getting panic. He will feel like, okay, I'm not being heard properly. Okay, so these type of dissatisfactory emotions will come in that particular person. So we have to avoid these type of situations, because one thing is leading to another thing. So once you are attacking on the right area, then ultimately your end result is also getting corrected. And ultimately then late delivery of customer is also one of the case, okay, because in this particular cycle you may defect your products, and again you have to you can say put it on a production line, okay, and reproduce that particular product again. Now, what are complaints? Okay, a complaint will arise from either or both of two main reasons. One is a product or service is faulty, okay, and does not function correctly. And then the product or service does not meet the expectation of a customer. Okay, one is your quality defect, which completely you can say you can manage through your technical quality team. Okay, then there is something which is a customer is expecting, and against that particular expectation the product or services are not given to that particular customer. So these are the two major categories under which the complaint, or you can say reasons because of which a complaint generates. So any example in your case you can come up with, like in your manufacturing. So if you want to bifurcate your complaints, so what type of complaints you are getting on the first one, or reason are like faulty products, and the other one in your same firm.
Yeah, so I have them from both different categories. So if a product service is faulty, it does not function to the drawing or to the customer specification. There are, some um, are designed just for a specific use of a customer, and we have systems in place, vision systems, etc., on equipment to catch problems on the production line, but in some cases, those problems aren't seen either by the operator or by the vision system. And so we get complaints of product, the vision system seeing something it's not supposed to see, or product getting through to the customer that wasn't caught. So, that is a true product quality issue, and the customer is forced to sort the product, which is a problem. So, we're working on, trying to get down to the true root cause, retraining the vision system, making tweaks within the system, um, understanding what customers allow splices, not allow splices within the material roles. Those are just a few things that we have that come up a little more frequently than not. And then the non doesn't meet customer expectations is we had a customer complaint just a few weeks ago from one of our OEMs, and the roll that they received, the product that was rolled to them, was not specified on the drawing how they wanted it rolled, if they wanted the parts internally rolled or externally rolled. So we rolled them externally, and they filed a customer complaint against us that we failed to meet their specification, which wasn't given to us because we were following their drawing. It wasn't stated on their drawing how they wanted the parts rolled, either internal or external. So that was a no fault complaint, but we made changes on our router to effectively meet the customer needs on the next production run. But when the customer scorecard came through just the other day on Thursday, they were still not satisfied that we didn't do it right the first time. So with that circumstance, I went back to the customer service team and spelled out, why the issue arose, in that it wasn't clear on their drawing of how they wanted their parts. So we did it the way that our internal routing was set up, and um, customers still not completely satisfied just because they feel like their voice wasn't heard. But I'm coming from a quality perspective, not from the customer experience.
True.
So it
So
takes a
here
team.
now.
It takes a team to
Mhm.
respond to the customer and to make sure the customer's satisfied. And right now we have a breakdown within the organization. I believe that it's more culture.
Absolutely right. I was coming up to that particular point only, that you being your the particular, you can say, head of the department, you have done your job. But the only thing is, in this particular case, you are managing an external customer. Internal customer here, by this, like if a complaint you can manage without having that particular feedback. Now, one is, once you get the feedback also, you have to acknowledge that feedback. You have to, that team has came back to you. Now the message should go directly to the customer also. Even in that case, if the team who's in between, then usually what happen in this type of situations, the team who's communicating to the customer, your customer service team, and you are sitting at a two different engines, because the service team is not aware about the technicality behind that particular thing. So in that case, what is happening, the team will think, okay, they will just pass a message, and then again they will not respond back to the query which has came, or the doubts which is there in customer's mind. So that is important, like you can segregate that at what particular, because every complaint you cannot get involved, your technical team does is not possible to get involved. Now you have to segregate which particular type of you can say level at which you can have your interaction, direct interaction to the customer, and give them a particular right, you can say, resolution, that this was the reason or root cause, so that he will be aware about it, and next time he should know that okay, this has to be done in a this particular manner, so that I can get what I was expecting. So once this particular chain is completed, then only you can avoid these type of situation in, you can say, upcoming months.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Now let's see what are they like in terms of complaints. Now there are certain like functions or characteristics to it. One is checkable, objective, resolvable. So whenever a complaint comes to you, first thing which you have to check in that is whether it is a checkable. Okay, now you can identify the defect through that particular complaint, exactly where that particular thing is. What is the objective of that complaint? Like as I mentioned earlier, sometimes there are complaints which you know that if you solve, ultimately it will not benefit to the organization. So you have to see what is the objective of that particular complaint. Then once you have to understand the objective and checkable, or you can say whether it is possible, feasible to identify the defect or root cause, whether it is resolvable or not. So once you know that it is a resolvable, then you have to see what impact it is having in terms of financial impact, in terms of your time or efforts to it. So these type of preliminary checks you have to perform once a complaint has, you can say, end up or comes to your table. The complaint can be investigated using the information gathering technique. So first, like after this, the next step is gathering the information. Then there are multiple methods by which you can gather information. Then how to analyze that information. Then how to utilize that information in resolving your complaints. Okay. So first thing is you have to understand, or you can say you categorize your complaint on these three parameters: checkable, objective of the complaint, or whether it is a resolvable or not. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's look at expectations. So from the expectation point of view, so you have to understand first is like individual customer, like what is the expectation of a particular individual customer, subjectivity, dealing with opinions versus facts, and limited checkability. So you have to categorize like what exactly the customer is expecting from that complaint, what his the information which he has given in the complaint, is it enough to check. Okay, so that is how much you can say ability you have, or you can say the information you are having to act on that particular thing. Now sometimes there are certain opinions which someone is making without any facts, so you have to deal with that, whether that complaint is having certain specific facts, or sometimes there are some complaints which has came in a particular manner wherein there is an opinion that this should be, this is not right, this is something which is happening wrong, or this there is a issue. So you have to segregate between these two also. There is opinions, so you have to substantiate those opinions through facts. So you have to identify factual, you have to focus on the factual data. Okay, need to be able to understand the human side of business to deal with this. So ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, you have to understand the business. Sometimes what happen at a very, if you are sitting at a very high level, you are not able to understand each and every domain in a much more detail. But since your team should be segregated in such a way that each every individual should know his own domain area in very you can say detailed manner, and ultimately through that they have to come up with an integrated solution. Okay.
Okay.
So now, before going ahead to the back to the basics, you can say of this particular, like how to deal with it, what from where it comes, like how people react on this. So before going all on other topics, here we can have a 20 minutes break and come back and again discuss on these slides, and we'll also see some scenarios in upcoming. And in between, I just want to understand. I just want to ask. When do you want to have your lunch break? Like at what particular time?
I'm flexible with lunch. So I can work on your time schedule because I'm in a different time zone, but that's no problem from that retrospect.
Okay, no worries. So we can like jointly discuss whenever you want it. So in between that, we'll try to figure it out. Okay. So
Okay.
here we can have it 20 minutes break, and we'll come back after 20 minutes, exactly
Okay.
after 20 minutes.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.